Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and today it's yet another mock draft for the upcoming 2025 NFL Draft. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching the previous one. And with this one, there is going to be a bit of a different look to it. Last time there wasn't a whole lot of quarterbacks I had going in the first round. This time there's going to be significantly more just based upon how the draft board has sort of changed week to week. And that's the real thing about mock drafts during this period of time. It's really early in the process. Really, when you're doing mock drafts for the first 3 months into December, mid-December of the NFL regular season, there's a lot of movement and there's a lot of ripple effects that could happen based upon what team is positioned where. They can move up 3 spots, move down 3 spots. It can change the entire draft. So what you're going to see today is the effects of that from week to week. We see teams jump up nearly 10 spots in the draft from the last one that we did. You're going to see a lot of different my guys in here, some guys that you may not see in the first round. I try to put as many my guys in the first round just so you can sort of see where I'm at, and maybe learn about certain players that you might not have learned about before. And I got a bit of the dry mouth because I did record the actual mock draft stuff ahead of time, so let's pretend like I didn't and just go to it now because I'm totally going to just start it now. So to start changing it up here a bit at the top and just to see the ripple effect that this could have, going Will Campbell at number 1 for the Patriots. I feel like this is just as likely though, because you do have Drake May, who you invested highly in last year. You want to be able to protect him, and they have a lot of cap space coming up next year. So I could see them going the veteran weapons route, trying to get guys in, pay him some money, get some experience out there, because I'm not so sure there's going to be a lot of options for the offensive line aspect of that, and they do need that help there as well. That kicks Travis Hunter down the board to the Carolina Panthers, who, again, I'm contemplating quarterback here, but maybe you get an overall weapon like Travis Hunter. It does change things up a bit, and maybe you give Bryce Young one more go. If not for any other reason, you get an absolutely amazing player like Travis Hunter, who then you can plug a quarterback in next time with. That drops Cam Ward to number 3, and he's the quarterback one for me just because of the culture impact, I think. I could see Shedeur Sanders being a real problem going to a team like Cleveland, as opposed to where I have him going, which is the Raiders now for 2 straight mocks. The personalities just seems to mix better. And then Cam Ward, I think he is low key. He's not going to cause a lot of problems. Not going to cause, some media frenzies like they've had with Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield. But I still think he's showing that he's a good player. Titans take McMillan from Arizona. They just traded DeAndre Hopkins to Kansas City. Thanks for that. And this just makes all the sense in the world. Build the wide receiver room that they've been attempting and failing at building. But, you have Calvin Ridley now. You get McMillan out there. Maybe you get a good 1-2 punch now for Will Levis. Mason Graham to the Jets. This was a tough one, too, because, you contemplate Shedeur Sanders. I could see this being a trade down spot for someone like Shedeur Sanders. Just because I don't know if the Jets are all that. They're in a weird spot here. You can't, not going to go Will Johnson. Are they going to go Kelvin Banks? They've invested really well in the offensive line over the last couple of years. Last year in particular. So maybe just go Mason Graham and you build up that defensive line to help out the back end. Quinnen Williams gets a rush partner there on the interior. I think maybe that's the route you go. Kelvin Banks to the Saints. He can start at guard in his rookie year. They need interior offensive linemen above anything else right now. Eric McCoy was having a fantastic year before going on the IR. But they need someone to play next to him. Cesar Ruiz has never really worked out. They've had a rotating door at the other guard position for a while now. With Andrews Pete and Lucas Patrick and I think Connor McGovern, and there's another one that they've had on the interior. They got Fuaga, who's going to be your future tackle there. Ramchick, you don't really know how much longer he's got in him. Injury concerns, but if he does come back, Kelvin Banks plays guard rookie year until eventually taking over at the other tackle spot when Ramchick is gone for good. Jags go Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan. Oh, man, this is another tough spot. It's another tough team to pick for because on paper they look so much better than what they've been playing. So, you go get a shutdown corner with Tyson Campbell. I guess that's the best option. You want to be able to compete, at least on the defensive side of the ball, while your offense seems to find its footing. If they ever find their footing with Doug Peterson, the way that they did that first year. We talked about Shedeur Sanders earlier. They do need a quarterback. They've had a rotating door there now for a while. They just brought in Desmond Ridder. They need a franchise. They need a franchise. I think Shedeur Sanders in Vegas, he's got the personality for it. And I think, then you focus on giving him weapons now that there aren't really any there. I think they're another team that could use free agency, kind of like the Patriots, to bring in some veteran weapons. You got a new quarterback, building the culture that Antonio Pierce really wanted in his second year as the head coach. Going to number 9, and it's my New York Giants, and I got him going with Carson Beck. He didn't make the first round in my last mock, and just the way that this has sort of worked out here, the Giants don't really have much of a choice. If they're picking in the top 10, they gotta go quarterback at this point. There's no real wide receiver for them to take. Malik Neighbors to get a compliment from Malik Neighbors on the other side. Could they go offensive lineman again? I don't know if that's really an option. I don't know if they go interior defensive lineman. No need to go with edge. Too early for running backs. Too early for another corner. So I went with Carson Beck just because I made the argument in the last one about Cam Ward, why I wanted Cam Ward there because of his deep balls. And that's something that the Giants haven't been able to unlock with Daniel Jones. That's really the one thing that holds back the Giants' offense, because when the defenses are giving Daniel Jones those short to intermediate routes, he's pretty good in that. He's as good as anybody picking defenses apart in short to intermediate. But then defenses, as the game go on, they start to creep up to the line, and Daniel Jones just hasn't been able to hit those deep balls, even with the amount of speed and athleticism he's got on the outside. Carson Beck is a much better deep ball thrower, and on short to intermediate, I mean, even if you lose a little bit on the intermediate routes, you gain on the deep ball. And I think that's something that Brian Daboll is going to covet. Number 10, the Dolphins. I still got him going with Wyatt Milliam. Still the highest rated tackle in all of college football. And he's going to be something that's going to fly up boards, I think, as the season goes on. I got the Rams going with Quinn Ewers, the quarterback out of Texas. Now, for me, again, if the Rams don't make the playoffs, they're talking about trading Cooper Kupp. They haven't as of the making of this video. It is Thursday, so the chances of him being traded today or tomorrow, not very high. It'll probably be next Monday or Tuesday thing if he does get traded. If they don't make the playoffs, then do you not trade Matthew Stafford in the offseason as well to a team that might feel like they are that quarterback away? And then take your quarterback for the next 10 years, 15 years for Sean McVay. I think that could be a real possibility there, and that's why Quinn Ewers goes at 11. Bengals, Deion Walker. This is your DJ Reader replacement. They haven't had a lot of interior defensive line success in general this year. So you want to be able to build on that defensive line. I think Deion Walker comes in, big time space eater, true nose tackle. That's BJ Hill, if you do keep him around, to be able to play more of that 3 technique. Then we got a run of edge players here. James Pierce, the first edge off the board to the Cardinals, and then Josiah Stewart, the second edge off the board to the 49ers. Both teams need edge for different reasons. I feel like the Cardinals need it just because they need a true number 1 edge player. I think James Pierce has the best upside out of everybody. But then there's Josiah Stewart going to the 49ers, and he has been phenomenal this year. He's the highest rated edge player in college football so far. Great against the run, great against the pass. And he gets to come in and be a compliment. I had him going a little bit further in the draft previously, but I do think that the 49ers could look at him and be like, as a number 2 guy, this is a potential high-end, true high-end number 2 that we get at a discount price for the first 4 years. His size could be a bit of an issue, but he's not going to be getting double teamed on this when on the field because Nick Bosa is going to eat all of those. They're not going to necessarily be able to even kick out an offensive lineman or a double tight end because they also have Javon Hargrave on the interior, so that's going to account for another double team as well. So he's going to have a lot of one-on-one opportunities early on in his NFL career if he ends up in this situation. That could be a real breakout opportunity for him, really gain some confidence. Kenneth Grant going to the Chargers, just get some interior defensive linemen for the first time ever, it feels, on this team. Cowboys run game is absolutely terrible. Ashton Genty he's my pick for the Heisman so far, and it just makes too much sense for him to come here. The Cowboys have so much talent everywhere else. The last time they took a running back in the first round, it completely changed the entire dynamic of their team. That was Ezekiel Elliott, so maybe you can repeat that here with Ashton Genty. Genty? Here's Tampa Bay, and I'm going with Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver, Ohio State. Now, Chris Godwin just had a gruesome injury. Apparently, I didn't see it, but they didn't show it either, so that's a gruesome injury if they're not showing it on TV. Age was already a concern for the wide receiver room as it was, so bring in Egbuka. They had Jalen McMillan, who they drafted last year. They can slowly rebuild this wide receiver room for Baker Mayfield, who's playing a really great season yet again. Eagles, Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia. Just continue to help the defense. You know, I don't know, as long as Jalen Hurts is your quarterback, there's only so much you can do on the offensive side of the ball. Not like they don't have a great tight end. They have 2 great receivers. Running back is fine. Offensive line is fine. Like, everything on the offense is as good as you could possibly make it right now, where you're not picking for sheer redundancy. But I think if you take Malachi Starks, you at least can now have like that 3 safety set. You can move Chauncey Gardner-Johnson around if he's back next year. And you get more speed, get more youth in that defensive back room in general that they've been rebuilding the last year, and now you can get back into continually adding to it here. The Seahawks go with Chase Lunt, offensive tackle, UConn. He's a right tackle, which is what they need. You know, Charles Cross has had a great season. At least early on, he's had a great season. So the only thing that's really been missing on that offensive line this year is on that right side. So you got to throw some assets at it. Number 20, Colts, Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Just off the top of my head, other than Kenny Moore, I don't know who plays corner for the Indianapolis Colts. And I know they're not playing all that great. So get a blue chip prospect in there, a first-round talent. I really love giving the Broncos a tight end here, Colston Loveland. I just love the idea of it right now with Bo Nix, who's had some good performances, had some not so great performances, but I think if you add a true top tight end into the offense, that's really going to help him out, and it really helps out Sean Payton's offense as well. Another run of edge players here with guys that I don't know that you're going to see them in too many first round mocks, but it's, you know, I like throwing in some my guys here. You saw it with Wyatt Milliam earlier, Chase Lunt there, and now Donald Eziraku and Jared Ivey go back to back. Edge from Boston College, edge from Ole Miss, to the Falcons and the Bears. I think 2 teams that could use some edge help as well. At least add to their defensive line rotation, improve their pass rush. The Bears, I think, they're another team like the Eagles. I think their offense has a lot more upside to it long term, but they're in a position now where there's not a whole lot you can add to the offense, so you want to get some value on the defensive side of the ball, and there isn't a whole lot more value than you can get at the edge position. Atlanta, sort of the same thing. You know, their offense, who could you add to the offense? at this point. You know, you go to the defensive side of the ball, you can look at corner, you can look at edge, you want to get some value there as well. So that was sort of my logic behind that. The Baltimore Ravens, I had him taking Luther Burden, wide receiver, Missouri. He just kind of fell down this board a bit. You know, I considered him to Denver at 21, but like it just worked out this way. And I think Baltimore, they are notorious best player on the board. And I think Burden at this point is probably the best player on the board. I could see them going offensive tackle, you know, with some inside flexibility. But I think Burden was just too good to pass up here. You put him out there with Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, you know, help Lamar Jackson out, give him some more weapons, you know, boost up that offense, the offensive production. The Buffalo Bills go with Siobhan Revel, the cornerback out of East Carolina. There's just a situation with Buffalo where, you know, they go edge. I just feel like it's going to be a defensive pick. I could see if Luther Burden does fall as far as I got him, that they could trade up. We're not doing trades right now. I could see Isaiah Bond being a guy too. Just because the speed, but you worry that he's a little redundant with some of the other things that they have. So again, just go with value on the defensive side of the ball. Washington, Ossie Trapillo, the offensive tackle, Boston College. They just need a tackle. They need like a young tackle to help build on that offensive line for the quarterback. Again, I considered Isaiah Bond like I did in the previous mock. I figured I'd change it up here a bit, get another one of my guys out there in this first round. Then Isaiah Bond goes to Pittsburgh. I feel like Pittsburgh wide receiver is such a glaring need for them. They got Deontay Johnson out of there. I feel like that's improved. I think we've seen some general improvement in George Pickens' attitude since that departure. So again, I'll chalk that up to me saying I told you so at this time last year. And I was doubted for it, and I feel completely vindicated. Green Bay goes Jedi Barron, cornerback, Texas. They didn't take Cooper DeJean last year. And I feel like this is their attempt to make up for it. Houston, Tyleik Williams, interior defensive lineman, Ohio State. D'Amico Ryans adding to that defensive front. Just makes sense to me, especially because there's not really an offensive lineman I felt better about than going with Tyleik Williams. Minnesota, Jamari Harris, cornerback, Iowa. They need to get another young corner out there. You know, the tragedies that they faced leading up to this season. They gotta get back to it. They made the right decision addressing that position group. Get younger there, get some upside there. Detroit Lions, it's Princely Umanamielen, the edge from Ole Miss. With Aiden, I already had them going edge before the Aiden Hutchinson injury. Now with that Aiden Hutchinson injury, I think even more so, they're going to need to invest in edge, kind of like what we saw the Dolphins do in the last draft. So you got to make sure that edge room's okay. And even then, when Aiden Hutchinson comes back, he needed a true complement on the outside. I think you can get that here. And then the Chiefs' offensive line, Ariante Ursuri, offensive tackle, Minnesota. They need tackles. The interior offensive line is the best in the entire league. Get some tackles. There isn't a whole lot else you can really add to this team. They just got DeAndre Hopkins, for God's sake. How he goes into next season, that'll be something to watch. But for now, I mean, Jesus, how much better do you need to get? Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to leave a comment in the comment section below about what you think I did for your team. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? What do you think of all those quarterbacks going in the first round? And what do you think of those guys that are like my guys going in the first round? There was quite a bit of them, more so than the last video. And I will see you guys with the next video next time.